Let's kick this motherfucker off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the ReveLAtions podcast.
The ReveLAtions podcast. Welcome.
I'm GM.
And I'm Snoddy, and here we are.
Another episode
For the books. You know, we got a very special episode today because we're guestless on the guest list. But really, we're guestless. It's just us.
But it was intentional.
Intentional, yeah.
Yes.
We kind of want to share more of our story with you guys and, tell the ReveLAtions tales that, you know, we live every day.
Yeah. Let people get to know GM and Snoddy a little bit more.
Totally. And, you know, this has been a journey thus far. And I'd like to start off by saying thank you to everyone who's checked us out. That's followed us or liked or subscribed or shared. You know, if everyone listened to this shared just one of our podcasts with a friend,
yes,
it would double our views.
I know. I like that idea.
So yeah.
Bring your friends along when you're
yeah, because it really does help.
Podcast seems to me to be more of an individual thing. You know, like you're in your car or you're working out or, you know, but it's not something you do as a group necessarily.
If you take value from it, share it to someone you
right, then share it. Exactly.
Yeah. If you find us entertaining or devilishly attractive. No. Most people can't even see us.
I know.
It's YouTube or Spotify.
Well, that's another thing. You know, it's mostly, you know, it's something you listen to for the most part.
We're in your brain right now.
We're
We're the voice inside your head.
Yeah. And you were talking before about how, you know, it's what an amazing start we've had to this ReveLAtions podcast. We've had Mark Schulman, the amazing Mark Schulman, and we were talking about how he was the perfect guest because he's someone who, you know, we talk about when you're chasing the dream and, you know, it's energy that you go forth with. You know,
100%.
That is what attracts the dream to come real.
Yeah, and he embodies that.
Yeah,
you know?
And he also reflects it because if anybody who actually listened to the podcast or if you watched it, he's such like an energetic, positive guy, and that's why he's become so successful in his career because he projects out all the time. That's who he is. And, you know, we were talking about how on the road to, you know, kind of going after your dreams or chasing your dreams, you're going to run into the haters. You're going to run into the naysayers. Mm-hmm. You're going to run into the negativity. And for a lot of people, you know, that's hard to get over that. But what we're sitting here going to tell you is we've gotten over a lot of that crap with people telling you,
the hater's going to hate.
The hater's going to hate. But people telling you, oh, yeah, I don't know about that, or I don't know about this, or, you know. And we were talking about, I was just in Austin, Texas recently. We're going to have a really amazing girl on. Her name's Glenda Maddox. She's a 5-time Emmy Award-winning costume designer from Austin who has now transitioned to feature film. She's doing the new Spy Kids for Netflix with Robert Rodriguez and all these amazing, Gina Rodriguez, all of them. It's amazing. And when I was hanging out with her just a couple days ago, because I was there to see Cobra Man, well, hopefully we're going to have them on the show too. They're amazing. Did you have a good time? What's that? Oh, yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, Austin, for all the listeners, if you haven't been there and you love music and just, I think it's I love Texas, but I think Austin in its own unique way is the best of what Texas has to offer. But anyway, long story short, I'm there having a great time seeing Cobra Man. Hopefully they're going to come on soon. Amazing underground band. We'll talk about that later. But Glenda, we were talking about the fact that when she was going to University of Texas and she was studying costume design, and then she made this bold prediction, sort of like what we talked on the first podcast about you making that prediction about not going back to Coachella till you're playing, which is a bold prediction, right?
Yeah.
But it's about the visualization and setting the bar really high. And so she made this bold statement that she was going to go to LA and win an Oscar for costume design, and some other chick in the department, for whatever reason, was the naysayer, was the doubter, was the hater, and said, oh, well, you know, you're setting your bar really high and that's not very realistic or something like that, you know. And you know, now Glenda's, you know, here, and she's 5-time Emmy Award winning and now transitioning to feature. And I think when we have her on the podcast, we'll talk more about that. But really the point being that, you know, you have to not let those people like get in your way, so to speak.
No, not at all. Yeah, we just had Butch Walker on.
Yes.
Which like talk about manifesting, like he's been like my musical hero since as far back as I can remember. And like I remember being a teenager waiting outside to like see him play at one of his sold out shows, to him sitting here. I mean, can you believe it? We had chills. You
Yes.
know, like he was our own musical jukebox that day.
It was great.
Oh my God, it was so amazing. And like, you know,
And
that's
I loved his story because it leads into what we were talking about. Like don't let the bad, because sometimes it's going to be a negative person that's, you know, going to try to tell you, like what I was saying with Glenda, where they try to tell, oh, you're setting your bar too high. And sometimes it's going to be a negative situation. And I think that's what was really amazing about the Butch Walker story.
yeah.
Was that, you know, here he came and it happened really fast and then it bombed. But he didn't let that take him down.
Not at all, you know.
It was a story of reinvention and just, you know, keeping on going towards the dream, even though the initial part of his dream fell apart, because it was a huge, you know, thing that happened where he came and he had all those amazing people and Desmond Child and, you know, this huge record label throwing all his money, and sometimes that doesn't work out, you know, and then what do? Does that mean your dream's over? Well, Butch is here to prove that no, just keep rolling, you know, keep reinventing it, just visualize it, rethink it, you know, keep going at all costs, basically, is what the great takeaway from his.
And the naysayers, you know, I really feel like it boils down to, you know, choosing fear, choosing mediocrity, you know, self-limiting beliefs.
Right.
When, you know, we're powerful people, you know, you can manifest anything. Your life is what you focus on. You get literally what you get.
Right.
You know, so why not shoot high? Why not set the bar high? Why not dream big?
Well, yeah.
And have the courage to go after it.
Right. And, you know, that's the beauty of the human experience, is that we can, you know, think outside ourselves and manifest things. And it's not, you know what I mean? And just.
Only really if your mind's open to it, you know?
Right.
And the people who can't see past, you know, where they're at, of course will bring you down, because what they're recognizing and seeing someone go after it is that that's an ability that they haven't developed yet.
Right.
You know, you only know what you know.
Right.
You only get what you focus on. You know, if you've never stepped outside your small town, whether it's New York, LA, or wherever, you know, your dream is taking you, you're only going to know what you know. The world is so small.
Right.
But, I mean, really, you can have the power to, you know, and when we talk about manifestation and visualization, we're not talking about just sitting around closing your eyes, like wishing for a new bike, wait, you know, like the secret, you know, like waiting for it to pop up. There is some action and some steps involved.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. But, you know,
and a lot of hard work.
Yeah, you got to know where you're going. You don't. One thing I like to say all the time is you don't get in the car and just end up somewhere.
Right.
You got to think a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to the store or wherever. Right. You know, I'm going to Trader Joe's.
Right.
You don't just get in the car and appear at Trader Joe's. Right. There's some other steps involved.
Right.
But, you know, you got to see, you know, past self-limiting beliefs. You know, you got to have an imagination, you know, to really go where you need to go.
Right. And I think people will be surprised when they stop with that self-limiting sort of thought process or action process, that you look back on it and you go, wow, how did I have the balls to do that? How did I have the courage to do that? How did I, like, because when you get out of your way, you'll end up doing things that you didn't think you ever could do.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's not so really looking back that you did. Like, you know, I've only in the past several years gotten hip to the term manifesting or visualizing and all those universal truths, whatever you call it. But I realized I was doing that before I even knew how to do that.
Right.
You know, like, so funny, growing up in Virginia, and it was right before I moved to LA. I gotta share this story with you. I was at a friend's house. We were having a little party, you know, a little get together, if you will.
Right.
For Virginia, that's just like standing around in the kitchen waiting for a pizza roll to cook while you get drunk off a Bud Light. Like, so we're doing,
not hating, just saying.
Yeah, we're doing that, and it was me and two of my buddies, and like I thought it was pretty cool. I had a leather jacket on.
Right.
My buddy had a cool leather jacket on.
Yes.
And like, we were kind of like the rockers in the situation. And everybody else that was there was redneck, wearing their camo because they were going hunting at 5:30 in the morning,
or because they all like to wear the same thing because they don't accept anything outside of what everybody else is doing.
It's very,
you can't be an individual. You kind of got to be. Yeah.
Oh, well, to me, I never understood it because like I'm such an individual. So like, even in high school, like dyeing my hair,
as am I,
getting tattoos, or stepping away from the fray, and I feel like it's generational of like they just look around. Okay, this is what everybody else is doing, so I'm gonna just.
Yeah, I think historically that's a little bit of a thing, where you're trying to fit in wherever you are in high school. At that particular age, you don't want to be that much of an outsider, so to speak.
Right.
But for me, I grew up an outsider, so that just wasn't even an option not to be that. And then, because I grew up kind of a street kid for the most part, is I didn't care what people thought. You know? And there's a lot of power in that.
Oh yeah, a lot of freedom in that.
Well, and especially nowadays because it's so social media oriented, and I think people are so
snorting likes.
Yeah, everybody is so concerned about the perception. It's they're hyper focused on it where they probably weren't as focused on it before. So now I think a lot of people are really afraid to be like judged or and I think the power really is in not caring what other people think.
Right. Yeah. And so at that night, there's the dime a dozen dudes, as I would like to say, all lined up, all just kind of, waiting for something to happen, not making it happen.
Right.
Looking at the girls on the other side of the room, just kind of sitting there sipping on their Bud Lights, whatever. And they didn't really have much to offer conversational-wise. I think, to be honest, they were hoping that in a sick way that the girls would get a little drunk and then maybe come over or whatever, when me and my friends, we were talking to the chicks, and not even like in a hookup kind of situation, just like having conversations, just being social, right? Just having great conversations, laughing, joking around, being silly, whatever. And so unbeknownst to us, I kind of, at the time, until I looked over, they were all staring at just me and my friends, just super jealous.
No.
Just like fire in their eyes looking at us. And I was like, okay, these guys are kind of weird, like whatever.
No, this isn't going our way.
And the leader of the pack that night, this one dude, he slams his beer down and he goes, "That's it. Y'all need to get the out of here." And me and my friends just looked at him like, okay, this guy's fucking had too much to drink. He's getting a little weird. And I look behind him and everybody's got a scowl on their face just eyeing this shit.
No.
Yeah. And my friend, who's a female, whose house it was, we were good friends. I'd been there 1,000 times.
Right.
I look at her like, are you going to let them talk to us like that?
Right.
And she just said, I'm out of it, and left.
Right.
And I'm like looking at this guy and he goes, "Whoever isn't wearing camo," me and my friends.
Oh my God.
This is what he said. "Whoever isn't wearing camo needs to get the fuck out of here." Right? And so we're like, oh, we're not going anywhere. And then they pushed the table aside, threw some chairs around, and were coming straight at us. And we were like, totally outnumbered.
Right.
Probably like 10-3. And these dudes were,
And at that point, it's not worth it.
Not yet. Yeah. So what, stand around in the kitchen? What are we fighting for?
Well, yeah.
So, okay, we get it. We're not wanted here. Had a great time, guys. See ya.
Right.
And we're walking out, nobody wants to be anywhere where you're not wanted.
Right.
So
when the vibe turns like that, it's like, okay, this party's over anyway. Like
we'll go, somewhere else with that time. So I thought about something, and it was right before I moved to LA, and I wanted to get the last word in so bad.
Right.
So I go back in there and I slam open the door and they're all looking at me like, oh shit, he's back. And I said, listen, you know, pretty soon I'm going to be living in Los Angeles and I'm going to be at all the VIP parties. I'm going to be playing the biggest festivals, biggest shows, hanging out with people of value, and that's where I'm going. When I look back at you guys, you're going to just be ancestrally dating each other, having kids, getting fat, and sitting around doing the same old shit. And cool if that's how you want to live, but I'm out of here. And then and that was putting that out there before I even moved to LA or like did all those things,
right?
Over and over again.
Well, also I think part of that negative wall that we were talking about, you're going to hit along the way. You know, when you're an individual and you decide you have a dream or you have something that you're going to chase or you're going to go after something, and you have the naysayers, the negativity. Part of that is there's that jealousy aspect, you know, and that, I think that story is reflective of that because, people like we were talking before who don't have the mindset or the will or any passions or dreams that they really want to pursue, then they are more likely to get jealous of the people who do.
100%, yeah.
And so a lot of that's just coming out of sheer jealousy, but still it's like, just water off a duck's back, people, don't let that negativity slow you down or make you think about it twice, or just keep going.
Yeah. And to have a call back to episode 1, just another, I just like that, I had to see myself in LA before any of that, doing all those things before any of that was possible. To call back to episode 1, to see myself at Coachella, like before any of that could happen.
Right.
It's tapping into that frequency.
Right. It is just like what I was saying about Glenda, where she made this bold prediction of Hollywood Oscars, and she's probably going to get there. But she's already there. She's already captured the dream. She's already, you know what I mean? So that would just be the cherry on the top. So, it's just, you have to be willing to put it out there and overlook all the garbage that's going to get in your way and just, And it's not that easy. We talk about that too. Because everybody wants to be accepted. There is, that kind of thing. And, it's easy to say, oh, we don't care what other people think. We care what the right people think, for sure. But the haters and the naysayers, like, just that has it's not relevant to any of my, what I'm going to take on for myself as far as, stopping me from being myself or going after something or, to speak on the point of manifesting, even before like knowing what that word was, right?
Street drum corps, which is is what brought me to LA. That was the the dream I was chasing at the time. They were my favorite band,
right?
And I got the opportunity to play drums for my favorite band. Like, mind blowing to me. And at the time, I was just watching their YouTube videos in my bedroom at my parents' house in Virginia, prior to linking up with them or anything. And I remember sitting there and I would tell my friends like, oh, it would be my dream. And this wasn't even an option. It started off with Frank, Bobby, and Adam.
Right.
The 3 guys, maniac drummers.
It hadn't expanded to the large troupe that it ultimately became yet.
Right, yeah. And so, like, even before it was an option, I was just watching these guys thinking, like, oh my God, this is like my favorite shit. Like, it resonated with me so much. The street drum corps, I couldn't get enough. I watched all the YouTube videos 100 times over.
Right.
I could not get enough of it. And they were my heroes. They were my 3 favorite drummers. And I just thought what they were doing with the whole production and the whole show and the music and the very industrial, like, punk rock aspect to it.
Right.
Like, it's so me. You know me. It
Yeah.
resonated with who I am. You know,
Right.
tattoos and mohawks and
Yes.
slamming beer kegs and chainsaws and fire and like
Right.
all the fun stuff. And that's like, you know, part of my identity. You
Well,
know?
I mean, that's, you know, and talking about the entertainment business that we're in, it's that's the fun part. You
Yeah,
know? All of that is the fun part of that business, of
it-
this business, rather.
in West Point, Virginia, nothing around was like that, you know? And so I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like nerded out of my room over all of this. And like the crazy thing about it was I would tell people my dream would be to live in Los Angeles and play with these guys full time.
Right.
And it wasn't even an option. But like I just pictured that. Like even if I like got to guest drum with them on something,
Right.
you know, I thought that would be so cool. Then next thing you know, one day I see they're having auditions in Los Angeles. And I'm like, oh man, you know, I can't make it to Los Angeles to audition with them.
Right.
Self-limiting belief. But for some reason I had this wild hair up my ass. I thought, yo, maybe if I make a video, if I put some kind of drum video together and I'll send it to them, they'll just think I'm so amazing.
Right.
That they'll just cast the LA drummers that showed up to the audition aside and go, hey, we need this guy here with us right now.
Right.
And I did it. I called a buddy of mine up. He brought a whole recording console. I got some chick friends of mine to take their cameras and record it. And the funny thing is, I had got, shout out to Travis Wyatt, good friend of mine. He was still in high school at the time, right? I had just graduated a couple years prior to moving to LA.
Right.
And he broke into the school and stole all the marching drums to help me put together this video for the street drum corps audition. He stole, because he knew he was in
Now,
school,
wait a minute.
know?
So even after all that effort, I think you still did, that still didn't work, right? Until you did the actual physical audition, or that tape wasn't the one that got you into the
so that's what I'm
street
getting.
drum corps,
That's
right?
what I'm getting to. Yeah. So Travis Wyatt broke into West Point High School, my former high school, on a Friday, and the plan was to steal all the drums, bring them to my house in his pickup truck,
And then get them back before anybody knew they were gone.
get them back
Right. Yeah.
Sunday night before anyone was
I like
the wiser to it. Anyone
Yeah.
could notice they were missing. And so that's what he did.
Sometimes you got to bend the rules, you know.
Yeah.
If you're just always going along with what's, you know, logical.
Yeah, exactly. No harm, no foul, right? You
Right.
know? So, anyways, I recorded myself playing on a snare drum. I started a beat off on a drum set,
Right.
and then I started jamming with myself, playing with myself, if you will, to all this stuff, layering it up so it seemed like I was a bunch of different drummers
Right.
on this thing. And I put together a couple-minute video, and I went to send it in, and that wasn't even an option, you know, like I had to like find their email and think, you know,
Right.
maybe they'll see this. I don't know, like it was a long shot.
We've all been
But
there.
even then, I didn't feel like it was good enough. And so I didn't send it in. But this speaks to where my mind was though,
Right.
right?
But it also speaks to the fact that you were still putting it out there, even though the actual thing didn't get sent.
Yeah.
You would put all this energy into the idea of that, sort of speaking to the manifesting
Yeah.
part of things, you know, where you really got to put energy, and it's not just like you said, sitting there meditating, you know, on something and hoping
Yeah.
it just becomes real. It's
Yeah.
got to be the
Some effort, some trial and
the
error.
physical
you know.
sort of manifestation of it in some way.
Exactly.
Sometimes,
And,
you know.
and you're putting out there, you know, really what you want to get back. And it was, you know, getting that energy focused, right?
Right.
And then, you know, that didn't come together for some reason. Next thing you know, I'm literally on the can one day with my BlackBerry looking on Twitter.
BlackBerry?
Yeah.
What's that? I don't remember BlackBerry.
The old phone. Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Well,
that's going a ways back.
Yeah, so that goes to show you. But so I'm sitting in like there was no Instagram, there was no none of that on the BlackBerry. I could just scroll through Twitter. That was the only time I ever really used Twitter.
Right.
Was when I had a BlackBerry on the toilet. So randomly enough, I was on Twitter and I followed Street Drum Corps, of course, and it said auditions, Richmond, Virginia, which is where I'm from. You know,
Right.
the audition was like an hour away from where I was at, and you know, I thought to myself, you know, it's probably not them.
Well, and that's
you know?
that's part of it though. Like, I don't want to sound esoteric and like
Mhm.
all that craziness, but it's a part of that speaking and it's part of attracting stuff.
Yeah.
Like what we started off this episode talking about, how Mark Schulman's such a positive guy, and that's why he's become so successful, because he's attracted all this really good shit that made his dream come true.
Right, that phone call he made.
So I feel like that's a good example of that. How you kind of attracted it to you.
Yeah.
Because you'd put so much effort, you'd put it out there, and sometimes it doesn't always work out like that. You still got to go a couple steps further, but that's pretty cool that all of a sudden it's right in your backyard, Virginia. Richmond.
They show up in my town, and it was only like, a handful of towns across the country. They were looking to expand, and they were looking for drummers, across the United States.
Right.
And I remember having a conversation, years later, and Frank told me, we weren't even sure if this was possible, if there was other people out there like us.
Right.
And you kind of proved that to us, like, okay,
right.
And it's just, that changed my life,
Yes.
Going to the audition, getting the gig, doing the different productions we were doing at the time, to ultimately my heroes, Frank, Bobby, and Adam, my favorite drummers, helped me move out to LA to join them full time and to be a part of the Los Angeles crew, which is like, alongside them.
Right.
And, I think, the biggest thing I've always said that I kind of bring to the table is, because I was the biggest fan.
Right.
Every time we do a show, every time we do a production, through all these years, I always approach it like, what would I want to see as a fan? And I think that's my best asset I bring to the table.
Yes.
Because, they started it, and I have a vision of respecting how it is, but also expanding on what it could be.
And then I remember sort of after that, then you did a lot of shows in Virginia at some of the bigger theme parks and sort of venues around your area.
Yeah, they kind of trusted me to kind of...
It's kind of cool. It's, it's kind of cool, like, success is the best revenge. We're circling back to these, these guys in their camo.
Yeah.
Like, get the F out, and then, all of a sudden, you're doing what your dream is, or following your dream, or it's coming true.
That might not seem, big to anybody else, but that was like the biggest thing I could dream at the time, to live in Los Angeles, to play drums with my favorite band, and your dream could be playing drums for Metallica when Lars Ulrich kicks the bucket or whatever.
Right.
If that's your favorite band. But at the time, they were my favorite band. And that's all I wanted to do. That was success for me at the time. Now we're expanding the dream. We're building on the dream.
Right.
But that, I could have died happy at that moment in my life.
Yes.
Being a teenager, moving to Los Angeles, joining my favorite band, that just doesn't even make sense,
But even just attracting that level of success on the local level is great too.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, you end up being Brad Pitt or Jennifer Lawrence or Ryan I mean, that can, if that's your goal, keep going, but there's going to be levels of success along the way that really inspire you to keep going, to get to that ultimate level.
Once you get a taste of it,
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything like that. If you want to be the best
garbage
dude, in town, be the fucking best garbage guy in town.
I have a kind of interesting story about attracting something like that.
Yeah.
It was me and my buddy when I was in, I went to elementary school in Topanga Canyon for all the listeners, that's a really cool area of Los Angeles,
Yeah.
out near Malibu.
That's where Neil Young and
Yeah.
Frank Zappa
Yes,
and everybody roamed and
all
set
the
up
artists,
shop.
actors, musicians. It was a very creative community that I grew up in, and me and my buddy, he lived over in Laurel Canyon, which is even more central, right off Sunset Strip, and we became really good
that'll
friends.
That'll take you anywhere you need to go.
Yeah, and we had kind of gotten the idea that we really wanted to do this acting thing, and kind of pursue that, and so his mom, who was an actress who got to a certain level, but never became a superstar or anything, but she was kind of a sage mom, not so much, but she saw that he had talent, and then we wanted to kind of pursue this. So they said, oh well, if you're going to pursue this acting thing, then you gotta do all these things. You got to learn how to play an instrument, you got to learn how to dance, you got to learn how to kind of like, because she came from the old school Hollywood where they sent you'd come out to the studios and they put you in dance lessons, vocal lessons, teach you how to ride horses, or combat, on-screen combat, whatever. They'd put you in this little studio system that taught you all that. So she had this idea that we should do that. So she signed us up for a tap and ballet class, right?
Okay.
So we were kind of like, tap and ballet, I don't know.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was like 9.
Oh, little 9-year-old G.
Yeah.
He was so cute.
And so they put us
I wish I could go back in time just to pinch his cheeks.
I know, right? So we go into this, this teacher had this class, right? And we go in and it's all like these little girls that are probably between like 5 and like 8. Right? And we're the only 2 like guys in the class, but we're going to man up because we're putting it out there. We're going to chase our dream, and we got to make this happen, So if they say, okay, we got to go take this tap and ballet and, learn how to dance and,
part of it,
learn how to move. Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to get over our little egos and our kind of insecurities about like, 2 boys really do this, And so we were in that class, and then they were going to do a recital. And then the day came that we all had to go do this recital, right, for this tap and ballet thing. And, he and I were still the only 2 guys. So they put us with a lot of, the younger, like, girls, whatever, to do this little routine, whatever. And so we go to this auditorium. I think it was just like the local school auditorium or whatever, to this recital. And we look outside the curtain, and it's all our friends that we go to school with. Because all their little sisters were in this tap ballet class with us. And we didn't even think that far ahead about it. We're like, oh my God, we're going to have to go out there and do this tap and ballet routine. We're the only 2 guys, and but you know what? We were chasing that dream, and we were gonna like just do what it had, get over it and just do what we had to do to put it out there, and so we did this little routine. Next day at school, oh my God, we got harassed so bad, most of it joking, because they were all our friends, and we weren't like total nerds or anything, so we were popular amongst our friends, but we took a lot of ribbing for it, and we're like, okay, whatever. And it was about 3 months later, my buddy's dad, because his mom was this ex-actress, well, his stepdad was this ex-actor guy who not ex, he was like more of a stage actor, so he was doing a play at a local playhouse. So
he was a thespian.
Yes, he was.
A thespian. He was
like from Spain.
He was a terrific thespian.
But anyway, he was doing this play, so we went to see his play this one night, right? And there, the mom was trying to get my buddy an agent, because my mom wasn't a stage mom. She was just like, hey, if you want to pursue this, that's cool, but she wasn't going to be the one dragging me around to auditions or trying to get me an agent or any of that kind of stuff. Right. But we went to this play, and then there was this photographer there that his mother knew. And it's really interesting. It's, the famous acting Arquette family? Yeah. In fact, David Arquette, our buddy from Bootsy Bellows and all those places, like not our buddy, but we know his whole business group and been to all those clubs and all that stuff. But his dad,
he's a great guy too.
Yeah, his dad got this assignment because he had all these kids that were actors, and so he got this assignment where he was shooting for a teen magazine, and they said, "Oh, find some up and coming actors," because on the teen magazines they always have the guys of the moment, whoever they are, in TV and film or pop music, whatever. So find some new guys. We're gonna have you do an article about like the new guys, right? So we go to this play to see my
The thespian.
The thespian. And don't be hitting on the thespians. We love the
No,
thespians.
thespian. Anyways, you're at the play. Suffer and suck.
I'm trying to get to a point. So anyway, we go about attracting stuff. So we go to this guy's play, and this is literally a couple weeks after this moment of having to do this recital and embarrass ourselves in front of all our friends.
Right.
And his mom runs into the Arquette guy.
Okay.
And he's doing this art, and she says, "Oh, this is my son, and we're working on getting him an agent." And I think they just got an interview or with one of the major agencies or something for him. So she was a mover and shaker. So she sold him on the fact that he was going to be this little superstar, at some point. And he says, "Great, I'm looking for people to shoot, those magazines." And he didn't really care who it was. He wasn't going to go on some nationwide search to find the new up and comers. He was just making some money on the side to support his family. And so he's like, "Oh, well, he'll do." Right. And then I just happened to be there with him. And my buddy was a blonde with blue eyes, and I was brown hair, brown eyed. Right. And he goes, "Well, are you an actor too?" And I said, "Yeah, we just did this thing together, blah, 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 blah." And he goes, "Well, then you come along too. We'll put you in there too." So about 3 months later, my buddy and I were on the back of Teen Beat magazine.
Oh, what?
Full cover.
Uh-huh.
And we're at the elementary school signing autographs for everybody.
Because you knew you were gonna be little superstars.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Because we put it out there and attracted that, and it came. And then all those guys.
Do you have a copy?
It's somewhere, yeah.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. They took us down to Balboa Island in Newport Beach, and because that's where the guy was living at the time. And
the thespian.
And the thespian was at the South Coast Rep, which is like a big theater down in Orange County.
Okay.
And he put us both in the tree together and took the shot, and the editors loved it. And they said, "Okay, we're going to put that on the back of the magazine." So we had a full cover on the back, and then we're in the middle, meet these guys, and it was, again, success is the best revenge, because that really, all of a sudden, we went from being ribbed and teased.
The tap dance and do it.
And they're like, "Oh my God, these guys are going to be somebody," because we're sitting there signing the autographs.
Star power.
Exactly.
You can't deny it.
And my buddy really went on to have a super successful career. He did TV series and a lot of movies and a lot of the really cool, worked with a lot of the big actors and stuff. So yeah, he got an agent shortly after. My road was a little bit longer getting there, but
yeah,
I went to college first, and then we've talked about how I came back and got signed to a commercial agency and did more commercials and voiceover.
Yeah, this guy was the G.I. Joe.
Right.
In the U.S. Army commercial.
Yes,
yeah,
it was fun.
GM Joe.
Yeah. But it was a cool little experience. But it's also speaking to what you attract.
Exactly.
And we're here we are, these little 9-year-olds, and we attracted, and we ended up on the back of this teen magazine.
Yar what yar.
Right? Exactly. And speaking of attracting stuff, so because we feel like this partnership here that we kind of attracted the same energy.
You put the energy out there, and I truly believe that the universe makes things fall into place.
Yes.
For you, by you emitting that energy, by having that dream in your head,
right,
by going after it, things will get out of your way.
Right.
If it's meant to be, if you're truly on your purpose. Like I was saying, moving out to LA to play drums with Street Drum Corps was amazing to me. But it was within that first week, I hit the ground running. I came straight from Virginia. I got here and I said, okay, let's see what.
Well, and that's kind of how we met too, because you were doing Street Drum Corps, but you were also doing all these other things as well. You were casting your net as wide as you can get it. And
the first thing I did,
that's how we kind of came together and kind of attracted that energy.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to just play drums in Hollywood, play the Viper Room, play the Whiskey, do all these things. And so immediately, first week I got into LA, I didn't even know what or how to even go about it. It was definitely a learning curve.
Right.
But I got on Craigslist. I found this singer dude. Didn't know what he looked like, didn't know anything. Heard his music. He invited me to come to this lockout to audition for his band, And I get there and I meet this guy. His name was Bobby Shafto at the time. I'm not sure what it is now.
Yeah, I think he went too far with the reinvention thing.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily.
And he was great, you know.
No,
we
he
were in
was
a band
amazing.
together,
He was.
And I really felt like we were going to be the next
Right.
Guns N' Roses of that time.
Yes.
You know, we were playing in Hollywood. You know, he looked so cool. Remember?
And he was truly talented, but he was one of the ones that let negativity and jealousy and ego get in his way.
Yeah, you know, he had the coolest hair, the front man look.
Which we're trying to tell people, don't let the negativity and the ego get in your way, because don't turn into a dick over it, you know, which he did.
Yeah, well, we're not in a band together anymore, and we haven't been in a band.
But anyway, circling back to how we met.
But you know what? He played his part.
He did.
So God bless him.
In bringing
for
us
that.
together. Yes.
Yeah, God bless him for that. But I remember I auditioned for this band, and all of a sudden, like, I felt like, oh, this is meant to be, because he looked really familiar to me, you know, and obviously I got the gig. And we had tons of mutual friends in common, and he kind of knew some of the street drum corps guys. And where I auditioned and where we then started writing music and rehearsing at was this cool little lockout in West LA. And it was behind that flower shop, Silent Partner Studios.
Yeah, Silent Partner.
Yeah, it was so cool. Well, then come to find out, you know, he's telling me, oh, yeah. So in exchange for us getting to use this spot, I'm working on music for this guy, and this is his spot, but he lets us use it. You know, he doesn't have a band right now, so like, but it was a fucking dope spot.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
It was so cool, and you can keep your drums here, and like it was this cool little lockout that was so off the beaten path, and like
it had the full stage, lighting, stadium seating in it.
Oh,
it was like a little theater almost.
It was perfect, and then it had a little courtyard you can go hang out in.
I wrote some of my best music there.
Yeah. Well, cut to this guy that he was telling me about, whose rehearsal spot it was GM.
Yep.
And I kept hearing about this GM guy, and I think maybe I was in town a month before I met you. You were kind of a mystery for a minute.
Yeah, like, who's this GM guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Shafter described you as his best friend, you know, and then cut to, what do you remember from the first time you came by to check out?
Well, I remember that, you know, he was really...
What was your first impression?
Well, he was excited to put his own thing together, and then that's how we made that deal, because we're both basically starving artists. So I said, listen, I'm paying for this lockout. I got a really good deal from this guy. I'm not going to let it go, even though my band isn't happening right now. Because
that was so smart of you.
I'd had a previous iteration of my band, but that kind of peeled off a bit and just didn't quite kind of gel. So, but I decided I got to keep that, because the space was so great for creative. You know, so when I'd go in there just to work on vocal melodies or just sing or whatever.
It was a
vibe. I really wrote some of my best stuff there. But so that's how we made that deal. We went, okay, you know what? You're going to produce tracks, because I decided, okay, I'm going to record some stuff.
Right.
Okay, because I can do that without a full band, because I knew all the players and stuff. But since I wasn't using it, you'll write tracks for my new recordings, and then I'll let you use this lockout. But he was really excited to get his own project together, and he kept telling me about how he found this amazing drummer. He says, God, I found this guy, man. He's got... Oh, sorry, my head just hit the microphone. He says, I've got this amazing guy, man. He's got so much charisma, man. He's so great behind the kit. He's bringing so much to the party. You know, I want you to come...
Wonder who that could be.
To the rehearsal and check it out. And
fresh off the boat too.
I walk in,
Snoddy.
And when I walked in, you guys were midstream on a song or something.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and there you are behind the kit. And Shafto, he had a look, and he had talent, and he had like energy. Like, so when you walked in, it was like, when I walked in, I was like, wow, this is really something.
For just two people at the time.
Right. And because he was running a lot of tracks, and then you guys were rehearsing to some of the songs or whatever. And then I remember, you know, you guys finished that song, and he said, hey, GM, I want you to hear this one now, you know. And then along the way, he
ride with me, die with me, be my party animal.
I don't know. I don't remember what the song was, but
vampires everywhere. Yeah.
He was talented, but yeah, I mean.
Anyways, yeah.
Anyway, long story short, he said, oh, Snoddy, because he was giving you directions a lot.
Yeah.
Do it more like the way I told you to do it.
And I was just doing my own flavor, my own feeling.
Yeah, you were
as
doing your
an
thing.
artist, as you should.
Right.
You bring different ingredients together to make the dish.
Yes. And I remember he would stop you often and say, let's redo that. Like, I think it'd be better this way or that way.
Too much salt, not enough pepper.
Right. And then I just said to him, listen, I just want to hear the song. Like, because, like, just play a song. Don't, He goes, okay, yeah, we'll just do the song. I'm like, whatever. I go, get into the details later because I just want to see what you guys are doing.
Right.
And then you were really bringing it. You were really bringing a lot to the party. And then afterwards, he came up to me and he said, hey, so what do you think, GM? And I said, wow, well, this new drummer's bringing a lot to your party, but I also think you should let him bring more of what he wants to bring, because I noticed that you're giving him a lot of notes, but I think what he's bringing is pretty spot on. So maybe you want to let him, unleash him a bit, if you will.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sadly, moving on from that point, but that's how we met. He couldn't release that control. He was a control freak ultimately, and so that's what drove you guys apart. But
yeah.
But in the end, we had been put in the same room together, and
changed our lives for the better.
Yeah, it was good. Then we kind of left him in the dust and moved on.
Yeah, and to be honest, like being a newbie, being like a, yellow behind the ears, green behind the ears, whatever the saying is. I would have been dead in the water so many times in LA if it wasn't for GM. Being born and raised here, being able to show me the ropes,
I remember once we really became tight, I said, "Oh, I'm gonna, kind of
match made in
show
hell.
you some of the stuff, And I remember the first time I took you to Bootsy Bella's for a lot
of the stuff
for a lot of the listeners.
Hey, check out this stuff.
Yeah, for
Los Angeles.
A lot of the listeners.
Full of so much stuff.
Yes. For a lot of the listeners, they might not know what Bootsy Bella's is, or Delilah, or Poppy, or
hey, Hooray Henry's was the thing back then too.
It was,
yeah.
But it's the H-Wood Group, and they have all the celebrity nightclubs in Hollywood. And a good friend of ours, Marsha Molinari, she used to really take care of me. Like she'd always just, whoever wanted to bring in, and we were Jim was connected. He knew the people.
Yes. Unhook those velvet ropes for us.
Yes. And I remember the first time I took you to Bootsy Bella's and introduced you to Marsha, and she was just so into you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she'd admit that now. Actually, we should have her on the podcast. She'd be good to have on the podcast.
That's a tale for another time.
Another time.
But GM everywhere we went ever, is always knew somebody, was always connected, and like I'm just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, like oh wow, this is great, and God, I can't imagine if I had to like learn the hard way,
right.
Back to what I was saying, like, oh, we're gonna be at all the VIP parties, and
yes,
we were.
I remember,
thanks to you,
interestingly enough, the first time I took you to Bootsy Bella's, you didn't realize, but in all these celebrity hotspots, they always have a VIP room within. So it's a club within the club.
Yeah.
And if you've never been in that scene, you don't know. Man. You just get in the club and you're like, oh my God, I'm in this club. It's so amazing. But
it's not even
you don't know there's the club within the club.
Club within the club.
And then Marsha, she was always good to me. She's been so generous to me, and so I like so many times. But when you went to the door and said, Marsha, I'm on Marsha's list or whatever, because he would always text the doorman and say, someone who's ever coming that night. Mm-hmm. But of course, it was always these big celebrities, right? So then I'd walk up and they'd go, I don't think so. Justin Bieber just walked in. I don't think you're on Marsha's list. And but then they'd look, and sure enough, I'd be on the text thread, GM and whatever. And so they'd give you a wristband. They got you into the club within the club, the VIP club.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that. So I took you into the club, and we're in Bootsy Bella's. It was just going off. It was mayhem.
You remember this?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
And it was so good. And we are having the best time. And it's just, it's going off, and you're just having the best time and whatever. Uh-huh. And then I go, oh, but there's more, or something like that. And you're like, what? I go, no, we got to go. And you're like, where are we going? This is amazing.
Ah,
And Bootsy Bella was like, where are we going to go? And I said, no, there's like, okay, just follow me. so we walk down this hallway because it looks like you're going to the bathrooms.
Uh-huh.
And then if you look to the right, there's a big security guy standing right there. And it looks like he's just standing there like hanging out. But you don't realize there's a door because it's kind of pretty dimly lit.
Yeah.
And then if you have the right wristband, they open the door and then you walk in and there's the club within the club. And I remember that night we walked in and Marcia had her table in there. And we walk up to her table and Miley was still with her first husband, Liam. Do you remember that? And
No, she was with Arnold. If you're talking about the night I remember, she
Oh,
was
maybe-
with Arnold Schwarzenegger son at the time.
was she?
It was Cody Simpson's 18th birthday.
Oh, damn.
But that
I'm
was-
thinking of another time when we went there.
Okay.
And anyway, I get it all confused. But anyway,
It all runs together.
Miley Cyrus is there.
Yeah.
And then Marcia, was at the table. And we were all hanging out, and all of a sudden he just looked at me and he went, wow, GM, this is so fun. I'm having so much fun, And then...
And there was no going back. There was no going... And
And it wasn't that Miley Cyrus was there or whatever.
no.
You were just really taking it all in, this new world that you hadn't seen before.
Right. Like I just said.
And it was so fun to show you that.
A year
yeah.
or two before that, I was hanging out in that random kitchen with rednecks.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
So from that to like walking in, like, oh my God. And then, meeting people through you and
Yes,
like
it was
all
good.
that when I first moved here and you kind of shown me how it is, what to do, what to not
Well,
do.
that side of it.
what
Yeah,
to,
that too.
What to steer away from.
Yeah.
Don't go on the detours.
Right, exactly.
Don't go down those detours. Keep your eye on the prize.
And also you got to behave because, Marsha was so generous to me and, you got to be, I like to say professional, but you just can't get sloppy about, you don't want to be that. Or like, bum rushing some celebrity
No.
going, hey, can I take your picture?
And that's not what it matters.
These people this is their safe space where they can just be, they can just have fun with their people and not have to be on camera. So like in those clubs within the clubs, they don't let you to take pictures. Like if you take pictures, you're out of there.
Oh,
Like,
no.
yeah.
Yeah,
If you start to try to film stuff or they're like, get out,
And
out.
We've rolled up with people that didn't get that memo.
Yes.
And like, that's when you like,
Got to talk them off the ledge.
no.
Like,
yeah.
no.
I mean, but that's just common sense. Although I do remember being.
But people get excited about that celebrity thing, and I was born and raised here, so I don't. Not that I don't have fun, and it's always all very fun. But I don't think I get as starstruck as some of the people that and then they start losing their mind, and then they want to do stupid shit like, hey, I want to go take a picture with somebody. And you're like, no, you're not doing that.
Yeah. I do remember one time in particular. It was Emma Roberts.
She's so little. I've known her since she was a little kid. She's so cool.
know.
I like her. She's very cool.
So here's a funny thing. Like I was more than two. I was 3 sheets to the wind at that point in the night, and it was so funny. Like everyone that is there is dressed to like the T, got the nicest clothes on, whatever. And here I see Eminem. Here I see
Eminem.
GM
Right.
speaking to this chick who looked like Joe Pesci in Home Alone, looking like a robber. She had like dirty chucks on, like black leggings or ripped up jeans or something like that, an oversized hoodie, and like a black beanie, like stocking cap. And she looked like a burglar,
Right.
your stereotypical burglar. And I see GM talking to this.
Only thing missing was the black mask with the eyes cut out.
Exactly, the hamburger.
Right.
And, I see GM talking to this little girl who just looking like a burglar, and I couldn't quite tell. Things were a little blurry at that point. But I remember walking up, and I'm like, "Oh, who's he talking to?" Because you're usually pretty good about introducing me to people.
Yeah.
But I remember just standing there, and
Unless you're getting too.
yeah, I was probably just
Okay, just
yeah.
take chill for a minute.
Yeah, and I see y'all having this conversation. I remember when I used to go have lunch with your dad, and you were right there,
Yes.
and whatever.
Yeah. They used to take her to the Hollywood Canteen. You wouldn't remember this, but back in the day, there was a club called Hollywood Canteen, and she'd be in there with her little girlfriends,
wow.
and she was like 9 or 10 years old, and they'd bring her along.
Oh wow!
But I mostly knew her mom. I didn't know. I met Eric a couple times because our good friend Bridget Walsh was a PR agent, and she used to handle Eric and a lot of different celebrities and stuff.
Well,
but that's how I
anyways
knew Emma.
The moment,
And I don't know her that close, but when we ran into each other, we were talking about
in the moment, she's like, oh wow, whatever. But I remember, interjecting into y'all's conversation, and I kind of like pushed her to the side and ignored her, and I said, GM, do you have your phone? Do you have your wallet?
Some stupid question.
Yeah, I was like,
what?
And you're like looking at me all confused, like, what? And I probably said it very slurrily, you know.
Right.
Hey, Jim, you got your phone? You got your wallet? And y'all are both looking at me like, what the fuck? Who's this guy? What, you know? You didn't introduce me. You're always pretty good at introducing me.
Except when you go over the falls a little bit, then I'm kind of like,
yeah,
just chill.
She looked cute to me at the time, and I thought, oh, this would be funny. So I was like, yeah, do you have your phone? Do you have your watch? Do you have your wallet? And y'all are both looking at me confused. And I said, because there's a fucking burglar here.
I know I forgot about that. You made that really stupid joke, which you're known for your stupid jokes sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
And so, but it was just ridiculous enough to like make her laugh a little bit. And like, you know.
Yeah, and then I think I introduced you, and she was cool. And she knew you were just buzzed or whatever. She's cool. She's really cool. She's very down to earth. And
I remember,
again, I don't know her that well. We're not friends per se, but
I remember like falling in love with her that night, and I don't know why.
She's so little. She's very little. She's sweet.
We had this conversation. I don't know what was said, but I remember just like goo gaga over in her at the time. And I don't know, honestly, at the time I just remember going, oh my God, like I think I'm in love.
Yes.
But like those nights were pretty common thanks to you. And then that's how we bonded, and the stories we could tell, the adventures, you know, we could share. We'll have to save that.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be more podcasts to come.
More podcasts to come.
Yeah.
Great guests. I love you, brother.
Yes.
Thank you for everything.
And everybody out there, just remember to, I think sort of the takeaway from this one for me is what we're speaking to is just, don't let the naysayers and the haters get in your way.
No. And,
because you're going to end up at the VIP party. And like you said, they're still going to be sitting in their small town doing whatever they're doing and not hating, just saying, if you have dreams and you have goals, chase them and just stay on the positivity, because we've had so many people on the podcast. We're gonna have so many people more that are living proof that when you stay positive and you don't let the haters get to you, you're gonna have more success than you ever expected.
100%. And also the takeaway is just having the courage to see it, to see a different reality than what's in front of you,
Absolutely.
To having the courage to chase that dream, which is what we're all about.
And all you little boys out there, don't be afraid of ballet classes. Because you just might end up signing autographs. No.
We really appreciate, those that take the time to listen and to check it out. If you could leave a comment or follow us on Instagram, or share it. It really, really, really helps. And we really want to bring more of these to you guys. And, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah. And many more to come on ReveLAtions. We got a few in the can, and we've got some other good stuff coming up. So keep listening.